Welcome back to the Sideline Sorcerers. Kind of a wild week in the NFL with injuries. You've got a whole bunch of players who went down. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jaden Daniels got hurt. David Montgomery came out for a bit. Just a whole slew of injuries. Very unfortunate for those players. But on the other hand, this coming week, we've got quite a few people coming back. Cooper Kupp, full practice participant. He's going to be a lock to return for the Rams. Tua is saying that he's going to be back starting for the week. Don't know if it's fully confirmed yet, but it seems like he's got his heart set on playing this week. So, of course, those injuries are bad, but at least we're finally getting some other guys back in the league again.
Yeah, and Christian McCaffrey's slated to return November 10th, I believe they said. So at
Oh, I
least,
didn't even see
there's a
that
little
one,
bit,
bro.
yeah, a little bit of conveyor belt here. Some guys out, some guys back.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
we'll see. It just sucks to see some of those bigger names go down, like
Mm-hmm.
Chris Godwin, who's been having such an
Yeah.
insane year. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think Jane Daniels will be able to return in a week or so. I mean, it was just a broken rib, and
Right.
all things considered, that's not that bad.
Agreed. Yeah, it could have been a whole lot worse. Yeah, it could have been the Godwin
Yeah,
injury where it put him out for the rest of the season. But
right, for sure. But just to go over a little bit of our picks last week before we go full throttle on week 8, we both now have the same exact record overall, picking at 65-42. You went 11-4 this past week. I went 10-5. So another strong week after the super easily predictable week,
mhm.
week 7 or week 6 rather, that we did prior to this. But just some of those games, yeah. I mean, I should have taken Kansas City, and it was silly of me to take the Giants, but all the other ones I thought were pretty reasonable picks.
Yeah, I think the Jets game though, that's the one that I think I changed mid pod. Didn't I originally
Yeah.
have Pittsburgh and I changed it? Shouldn't have done that,
I
bro.
mean, dude, it's so hard not to take the Jets in
Yeah.
that situation. They're starting Russell Wilson. And the first half of that game, the Jets, I mean, they were super favored to win that game. Russell
Hmm.
Wilson was like 1 for 8, 2 for 8 passing. He was bad, right? And then somehow, they
Yeah.
come out in the second half. Russell Wilson goes crazy, and Aaron Rodgers throws a bunch more picks. So just a
Hmm.
weird game there. I do think the Jets
Yeah.
will still kind of be contenders as the stretch goes here, into the latter half of the season. But yeah, it was disappointing to see them kind of squander a really good opportunity there when, Pittsburgh did a quarterback change that everyone was just scratching their heads about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was thinking more along the lines of like the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams connection was
Yeah,
gonna just
right.
inspire the team again, but yeah, that wasn't even the case. And Russ didn't play half bad. He led his team to a
Played very
victory.
well.
So yeah.
Yeah. Now I thought that Devontae would have a better impact than Amari Cooper on their first,
Yeah.
week, first team, but it was Amari Cooper that played better, had a touchdown. And it's crazy
Hmm.
because, he was the one that was more questionable if he would even play than Devontae, who was surefire
Yeah.
going to play. So good stuff all around there. Ready to hop in. Well, actually, to gloss over the best bets here, I mean, you went
Hmm.
absolutely insane. We can't ignore that. Just 4 for 4 on the week.
Finally, it's the law of averages kicking in for me here after some really brutal weeks. But yeah, glad that my best bets finally came through. I'm gonna have to cook up something
Yeah.
surgical for this week as
You're
well.
gonna have to like double them picks that you provide now. I mean, you just kind of have to.
I doubled them the first like few weeks, and they were rocky road, dude. It was problematic.
I mean, you don't go 4 for 4. You got to put out at least like 4 picks again, at least 4.
At least, all right, I'll come up with four.
Yeah, the only thing that really was irksome to me was the fact that where was it in here? The Maryland USC game went over 56.5 by 1 point. It was
Yeah,
at 57 total. That was
yeah.
highly annoying. All these other bets, like I loved how I started Thursday Night Football hitting Denver -2.5 and the over. I love that. Purdue
Hmm.
not being able to keep it close against Oregon. I mean, and when I say close, I mean within like 30 points. That line even went up since we talked, on Tuesday. BYU winning it in the last minute, but still not covering. Some other good bets in there for sure, though. South Carolina, I really liked. The Arkansas side of things did not happen. Illinois, though, that one did happen. And then, yeah, the NFL one's kind of spotty on. But yeah, I finished off really good with Arizona 2.5 and the under in that game hitting. And of course, Kansas City money line. Should have applied that to my picks, though.
Yeah, no, dude, for sure. Like the Kansas City money line is just a must take whenever it's
What's in plus
in
money?
plus money. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely essential. Um, so yeah, definitely I I will always be doing that moving forward. That's just like the bet of the week, bro.
Yeah, we'll see when the next time that they're underdogs is with Mahomes,
Probably
that
never
is.
now that
Yeah,
now that they are the only undefeated team remaining in the league.
I
So,
know. It's crazy. But
yeah.
116-14 in the bets. Let's move on here to week 8, predicting every single game. There are no buys this week, so we got a full slate to go through here. Starting with
Yes,
Thursday Night
sir.
Football, Minnesota at the Rams. It's hard not to take Minnesota here. They played very well, I thought, against the Lions. Just a couple, things to clean up there. A turnover from Darnold. I think they come back. The Rams looked really bad last week. I thought they would cover in that game easily, but they almost actually gave it away at the end. So I think
Hmm.
even though it's on the road on Thursday, I think the Vikings are able to get a win here. And yeah, I'm really disappointed in how the Rams have been playing this year. Even, they're getting cut back. I don't think it
Yeah.
matters. I think they still
I,
lose.
Right, yeah. I mean, in this case, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference for the Rams to get cut back. Certainly, still will be valuable. I think they'll be more of contenders in games, but against a team like Minnesota, at least with how they've been playing this year, I just don't foresee them being able to trounce a strong Vikings team here. So I'm taking Minnesota as well.
Good stuff. Green Bay at Jacksonville. I almost took the upset here with Jacksonville, but I just don't want to overthink anything this week. I don't
Hmm.
want to be like with the Giants last week. I feel like I overthought it a little bit and I looked like a fool. Don't want that to happen again. So even if this pick ends up being wrong, obviously it's the right side of it. I'm going to take Green Bay here. They just look so electric on offense. They didn't put up a ton of points against the Texans, but that's a good defense. Jacksonville's defense, on the other hand, is pretty bad. I think Jordan Love could go pretty crazy in this game. I think this one could be pretty, high scoring, but yeah,
Hmm.
definitely going to take the Packers.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you on this one as well. Jacksonville still giving me some concerns. They had an easy matchup this past week that allowed them to get the win in New England, but I don't think that necessarily means too much moving forward, considering New England's also one of the worst teams here. I feel more confident in putting my eggs in the Green Bay baskets than I do in Jacksonville. Also, Jacksonville in London, again, we know that they are historically good in London. So that's also like another reason that I think the win went their way.
Right. Yeah, no, and now they're traveling back, even though they're
Right.
at home. It's a lot of travel in that time
Yeah.
period there. Arizona at Miami. Even though Tua's coming back, allegedly, I like the Cardinals in this game. I don't really feel like going on the road for them here is going to matter all that much, even though it's a short week for them. Just, I am not bought into the Dolphins offense, even with Tua back. I think the Cardinals find a way to win this game. I think the under hits in this game. Just
Hmm.
both of these teams have been playing very just kind of ugly, scrappy games, despite, you think like, oh, Tyreek Hill, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison should be high
Yeah.
scoring, right? It just
Hmm.
hasn't been that way. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been very weirdly inconsistent, dropping balls, feeling like I don't know, it's getting a little like, what's going on here with Marvin Harrison? I mean, out of
Hmm.
all these new receivers, Dunze, Brian Thomas Jr. is, by far the best one so far, and Malik Neighbors. Marvin Harrison squarely in that 4 position right now, in my opinion, in terms of, these receivers. And yet he was the first one drafted out of all of them. So,
Yeah.
hopefully it all kind of irons out in the end once we get a larger sample size, but it's not good right now with him.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's just like not really vibing with Kyler or what the deal is, because it
Yeah.
just the connection does not seem to be there, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, Arizona's just been like kind of inconsistent. Like they've had some weeks where they're putting up a lot and others where they're just looking pretty rocky. I'm gonna be going with Miami here, and this is exclusively because Tua is coming back. Everything you said is valid, bro. Like Miami's offense has looked really rocky, but I just feel like the return of their QB could maybe just inspire them to get after it, perform well in this game at home. They've got all the fans, the crowd around them. I think that that could be the difference maker here. But I would still hold true to what I had said last week that I would pick any team in the league over Miami if Tua is out because Miami's just been just absolute dog
Right.
water without him.
Yeah. Although they hung in there against the Colts, but that's because the Colts played Anthony Richardson again.
Yeah.
Jets at New England. One of the two wins for the Jets already was against New England. So, hey, why not run it back? Another slump buster here. It was kind of like, you're coming off of the Niners game. You didn't play great against the Titans. Well, you played the Patriots and looked amazing. And that was almost like where everything peaked for the Jets so far this year. But, hey, throw it back at them again. It's nice to have both of these games early on in the season. Although, hey, New England's at home. Drake Mays looks really good. Could be a dangerous one for them. If they lose this one, it's panic time in New York.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also taking the Jets here. This is kind of like a do or die situation for them. They dropped to 2-6, bro. That I mean, their playoff hopes are pretty much squandered at that point. Be
Yeah,
very hard to come back from that, and especially dropping a game to New England. That would be a little bit embarrassing for them. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's got to be the Jets for this one.
I agree. Baltimore at Cleveland. You know what else it's got to be? It's got to be Baltimore. If
I mean, what
Cleveland
else,
still
bro?
had Amari, though, I would almost like Cleveland in this game. I certainly like them to cover. I mean, Jameis Winston's now the starter for the rest of the season, which they should have done a long time ago. I don't even know why they sprinkled Dorian Thompson Robinson in the last game and then went to Jameis. Just doesn't make any sense to me. Jameis is not a bad quarterback at all. He's definitely not a QB3 on any team whatsoever. But yeah, if they still have a receiver like Amari, I need to look at like, do they have Donovan Peoples Jones, like Harrison Bryant, some of those guys? Hopefully still around. Maybe they can make some noise. I do worry that Baltimore will have a comeback week. They're putting up all these points. They give up a lot of points kind of in fourth quarters, against the Cowboys, against the Bucks. We saw that
Mhm.
happen. Now they're on the road here. It's a divisional rivalry. I definitely like Cleveland +9, but I'm still going to ride with Baltimore.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting one because Cleveland could be playing very different with a new QB to start the game than Deshaun Watson. Uh, Not exactly sure what that's going to look like with Jameis Winston. Maybe we could have some input from Jimmy on this one because you know that he's a huge Jameis Winston fan. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just ultimately, I mean, Baltimore is bound to regress from some of their really strong weeks, but this could be a surgical one where the Browns just kind of come out of nowhere and cover that spread or get a crafty win because they've just got a new QB starting for the week. That being said, I'm still going to take Baltimore. They're clearly the better team. Just something to watch out for, to be cognizant of this week because it could be a little sneaky action in Cleveland here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also, yeah, a couple points here. How much will Cleveland resemble the Cleveland last year when Deshaun Watson was hurt and Joe Flacco came in? Obviously, like I said, they had Amari Cooper at
Yeah,
that time, so probably won't be as good. But I feel like Jameis is very comparable to Joe Flacco. I mean, he's younger, a little bit
hmm
more reckless. Maybe it all evens out. But I mean, Baltimore is just so good. That pick last week against the Bucks was the easiest pick for me. He's only lost one game against the NFC, and that was to Daniel Jones and the Giants a couple years ago. Coming into Monday Night Football, he had thrown 15 touchdowns on Monday Night Football and zero
yeah,
interceptions. Now he's at 20 touchdowns on Monday Night Football, zero interceptions. So you really can't bet against Lamar when he's playing the
yeah.
NFC one and when he's playing on Monday Night Football.
I know, dude. It's just absurd play out of Lamar and even Derrick Henry too, bro. 170 yards rushing on the day,
Just easy,
and
bro. It's just easy for him.
it's crazy. And then his one touchdown was actually on a pass, but he has just been electric for the Ravens. This trade was like the best thing that could have
I
happened for
know.
him. And I mean, he's 30 years old now and he's still playing like he's, 23. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think they're just managing them all well. Like no
Yeah.
one player is taking on too much of a load. Lamar pressure's
hmm
taken off of him. Henry, pressure's taken off of him. Now he's not in Tennessee, where he's got to be the
Right.
hero, the reason they win every
Yeah.
week. But
Mm-hmm.
next up, you have Philadelphia at Cincinnati. Man, do I love Cincinnati in this game. But if they lose it, then, oh my God, it's just going to be so painful to see the Bengals go down that way. I mean, they're playing really good. They just had some tough losses early on in the season. This one here is super winnable. I wish it was a primetime game. It's at home for them. They're favored by 2.5. That's a very favorable spread to cover there. And Philadelphia, they've looked a little shaky. I mean, they just played the Giants, blew them out. But I don't think Jalen Hurts is playing that well. I mean, we just saw them struggle against Cleveland a couple weeks ago. I think that's a very, similar situation here. I mean, they won by 4 against Cleveland. Cincinnati, beat them pretty thoroughly. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
Bengals get this much needed win to get back to 500, get back into the mix of things. Although it's not great that the Steelers keep winning.
Yeah, no, I agree. If the Bengals make the playoffs, it ultimately feels like it would have to be a wild card situation. But I mean, even the Ravens are just a really tough competition to deal
Yeah.
with. Yeah, I'm
But
gonna
like
be
we knew
taking.
that. Like the thing
I
to me
mean,
is like
yeah,
we knew the Ravens would be good, but I did not expect the Steelers to be so good, alternating between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson's like
yeah, I
this.
know
Like it's crazy. Like that just it's like
it's
really,
unprecedented.
like really, man. But props to them.
Yeah, I mean, it still would be spooky for them to come back from 0 and 4 because I think that what was it like? Only one team had ever made the playoffs after starting 0 and 4,
So
like
I
in
think they
history.
started, wasn't it 1-3 and
Did
then
they?
1-4 because they got that win against the Panthers and then lost to the Ravens. Yeah, they were one and
Oh,
three
okay.
and then 1-4. So
I think it's still like only one
yeah,
team though
no,
had
yeah, it's
ever
super
like.
unlikely. But I mean, at 4-4 though, and if you look at
That's
the
they're
wild card
definitely in the
situation,
thick of things. Yeah,
like they're only one game back of the wild card right now as it stands at three and
just
four,
crazy.
just because the AFC is a lot weaker. I mean, you got teams
Hmm.
that we thought would be better, like the Jaguars, Jets, and Dolphins, all under 500, and the Chargers
Yeah,
is the only team that's ahead of them right now at three
which is
and three.
crazy.
So, I think that as long as they can win some of these games and maybe make the
Hmm.
wild card, I think that they have a chance to win it all.
Well, I don't know that I would go so far as to say that they got a chance to win it all, but I certainly think that they would trump the Chargers in getting into the playoffs over them because the
Oh yeah,
Chargers have been playing like poo. And yeah, not a fan of the Chargers. So the fact that they're
yeah, and they
currently
get
in the
to play
playoff
the
picture,
Chargers in a couple weeks here as well, so that's huge for them.
yeah, definitely helpful for the Bengals. I know that you like to see your boy Burrow getting back on
Yeah,
track here. Much needed after a slow start, but we know that's just the way he is. He's just a
yeah.
like a sleeping bear for the first few weeks, and then he emerges from hibernation a
I
few
know.
weeks
Even
later.
though, I mean, he played well in those early games, threw 5 touchdowns against the Ravens, still lost. Just crazy to me,
Yeah.
but that loss is looking like it's not that bad of a loss considering how good the Ravens are. But
Hmm.
next up, you got the Colts at Houston. Definitely rolling with the Texans to bounce back after that tough loss on the road, Green Bay, where CJ Stroud looked pretty bad. I mean, Nico Collins, the absence of him has been super impactful. He's not coming back yet. But I mean, this is a good get right game against the Colts at home. I think it'll be very different from the first time they played, in which it was high scoring. I don't see it going
Hmm.
that high again with how Houston's defense is really warmed up and how Anthony Richardson's regressed ever since that first week.
Yeah, I mean, he does not seem to be able to be very confident in the pocket passing. Only 129 yards. He can rush the ball so well, but his passing is just subpar, man. And yeah, I'm not feeling too high on Anthony Richardson these days. I'm also going to be taking Houston. You know, they're my team, not my team, but the location of my residence's team. And yeah, so they've been playing solid. Tough loss against Green Bay, but they're gonna have more energy this week to come back and get a win against a less competitive team.
I agree. Tennessee at Detroit. Come on now. It's Detroit.
Yeah.
Tennessee's so bad. Mason Rudolph, Will Levis, who cares?
It
Got to
doesn't
roll with the
matter though.
Lions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are you gonna say about this? Detroit's taken down one of the undefeated teams in the league through 6 weeks. Like, feel very confident picking them against a team that deserves to be fully defeated, deserves to be 0-6 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's looks so good. Goff's been
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. All right, Falcons at Bucks. I gotta roll Bucks here to bounce back. They've had a couple weird weeks, where they lost to Atlanta. Now they're already playing again here. They did beat the
Mm-hmm.
Saints, but that was with the backup quarterback. We know how badly the Saints looked on Thursday Night Football, and now they just kind of got blown out at home by the Ravens. I think they bounce back here against the Falcons and kind of even things out in the division. Would be a huge win for them after Atlanta lost to Seattle.
Yeah, for sure. This was a tough one for me to pick. Kirk didn't play as well last week against the Seahawks. I think he had 2 picks, which was pretty
And the
unfortunate.
fumble.
Oh wow, yeah, a lot of turnovers out of Kirk. Yeah, definitely less than ideal play from him. He's gonna have to turn that around. Who wants to get a win here? Tampa Bay. That being said, I am going to be taking the Falcons this week. I think they're able to put up a really good fight against the Bucks, especially knowing that the Bucks lost 2 receivers here. I think that could be extremely detrimental for them moving forward. Just kind of even like, I don't know what the word is, but the opposite of inspire. Like it will just like demote their team's confidence. Um, so not loving the outlook for the Bucks despite their tough losses lately. So I'm going to roll with the Falcons.
I just don't see the Falcons sweeping the Bucks.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. I'm just worried about the injuries.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. But I like McMillan out of Washington. Like he's a good receiver, good rookie
Mm-hmm.
receiver. All right, next up you have New Orleans at the Chargers. Another kind of slump buster for the Chargers here. New Orleans looking horrible last week, like I said. I think the Chargers, man, Justin Herbert's just so good. He's just got no one to throw the ball to. I mean, he threw for 350 yards, was absolutely shredding the defense. Just, they couldn't get in the end zone. They don't have the playmakers for it. Had no run game. Just really unfortunate situation because he is such a good quarterback that no one really talks about anymore. But I think this is a game, let's remember last time he played the Saints, it was on his rookie year. I think they still lost in overtime, but he threw like 4 touchdowns. Is this one of those games where we got to look up the stat line and see how close I can get to it?
Yes, let's do it,
Yes.
bro.
Okay. So he played New Orleans in 2020. I'm going to say he went 26 of 37 for 361 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. They lost in overtime. It was a high-scoring affair. Drew Brees was still the quarterback.
264, 4 tuds.
Oh, I said 26 to 30 something. And I mean, I got the 4 touchdowns right, just way less yardage and no interception.
Yeah, that's still solid though.
And they did lose in overtime.
Yeah,
Wow.
very high scoring affair, like you said, 30-27.
So I think he plays well against the Saints again.
I would agree with that, bro. Spencer Rattler has looked just incompetent, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess you can't expect too much from like a 5th round draft pick rookie, but I mean, Brock Purdy, he came in and he took care of business. So maybe I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but uh, yeah, I'm going to be taking the Chargers here this week. I definitely think they've got an edge. I mean, if the Broncos are able to beat the Saints, seems like the Chargers should be able to do so as well. Yeah, but to your point, it sucks that Herbert doesn't have his pass catchers to throw to anymore, losing Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and even Eckler, all in a row
Right.
is just so tough. He had so much talent on that team, and now he's dealing with a lot of young guys, not as talented, not the
No,
name
yeah.
recognizable players. So he'll have to figure it out eventually, though.
Yeah, the receiver they got from TCU last year has been a bust, Quentin Johnson. So super
Mm-hmm.
disappointing there. The next game up, Chicago at Washington. Unfortunately, this is not looking like what it was going to be. Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels because of that injury. But I do think for that reason, the Bears win. I mean, lucky Bears. I would have definitely taken Washington had
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels been playing. I don't think Marcus Mariota is that bad of a quarterback at all. but I think he will get a little frazzled against the Bears defense. And yeah, I mean, just crazy that it's really unfortunate, honestly, that that injury happened just, moments before this big marquee matchup that
Hmm.
NFL had made the game of the week. It really is unfortunate, but I'm sure they'll play
Yeah.
at some point down the road in their career.
Right. I mean, do we know for sure that Daniels is like not in for this week?
I don't think we know for sure, but I'm pretty sure Vegas has
Okay.
been reflecting that. I mean, otherwise, there's no way the
Yeah.
Bears would have been favored by 2.5 points.
Okay.
I mean,
Gotcha.
I
I was
just
about
think
to say.
it's gonna be hard for him to come back and play. Yeah, I mean, they said
Hmm.
very much in doubt. So yeah,
Okay.
that tells me that he's definitely not gonna be playing.
Yeah, in that case, I'm gonna have to change my pick here to the Bears. I wasn't sure if he was gonna play. I didn't understand the severity of it. I was just reading on ESPN and it said like they're unsure whether or not he will be suiting up for the matchup against the Bears. And I was just kind of hoping optimistically that he would be there.
Hmm.
But I mean, Washington is nowhere close to the same team that they are now
Yeah.
without Jaden, and so. I'd expect to see a Washington of last year come out to this game, in which case I would expect the Bears to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Marcus Mariota still played very well once, Jane Daniels was exited from the
Yeah.
game, but it's just hard to pick him without Jaden.
Hmm.
Kansas City at Vegas. Got to roll with the Chiefs in this game. The question just is, will they cover? I feel like this is a nice game for Vegas to cover after they showed some fight against the Rams. The Rams were up big early on, and they almost brought that thing all the way back. Lots of field goals. Gardner Minshew's back in. How exciting is that? Just really, yeah, they should have been the ones to get Michael Penix Jr. I always thought that they would, in our mock drafts and everything. And maybe they wanted to until the Falcons just
Hmm.
pulled that complete wackadoodle move and drafted them themselves. But yeah, regardless of all that, this is the Chiefs game here to win.
Of course, bro. I mean, it's got to be the Chiefs. They take down the probably one of the only teams that they would have been underdogs against last week, in which case now they're just a lock to be the favorite in just about every game for the rest of the season, I would expect, unless something bad happens to Mahomes. But yeah, I'll be taking Kansas City here. Not going to pick Vegas money line like I did last year against the Chiefs when they were like 14-point underdogs. It doesn't feel like this is gonna be the
No?
time for that quite yet. Yeah, maybe later on, closer to Christmas. But
Got
not
that
not.
magical energy in the air.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What was the joke you were making last year about it? Like something about like was it Rudolph's gonna like show him the way to, or what is it like? What'd you
Oh
say?
man. I'll have
Do you
to
remember?
look back in our episodes.
There was like who was
Hmm.
their quarterback last year?
Aiden
Was like
O'Connell.
I didn't think it was him though. There was something about like you kept saying Rudolph was gonna show him the way or like guide the sleigh or something.
Aiden the red-nosed reindeer.
I don't remember what it was, bro. All right. Well, anyways, we'll
I'll
have
have to
to
look back
investigate
that
that.
up. Or no, I think it was Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, was
Like for the
Mason Rudolph?
Steelers. But that was when, yeah, I talked about him when he played for the Steelers. Yeah, Mason Rudolph, the
Okay.
red-nosed reindeer.
Were
Yeah.
they facing the Chiefs though? I thought that this game that I picked against the Raiders was when the Chiefs and Raiders played like right around Christmas
I mean,
time.
it was on Christmas Day, yeah.
Yeah.
But there
Okay.
was, I don't remember any Christmas-related puns.
Okay. I don't know what I'm thinking then, but
Dude, you're
yeah,
giving me some pumpkin patch provocation right now. I'm not.
oh my,
I
dude,
got some
that's
autumnal puns for you.
autumnal puns. I
Yeah.
love that, bro. Yeah, the pumpkin patch provocation is that's pretty exciting stuff. I don't know if I can handle the provocation right now, bro. You gotta save it for actual Halloween.
I know there will be, yeah, one more episode before Halloween. So we'll
Yeah.
bring out all of the Halloween autumnal puns for next week.
Yes. I love
Anywho,
the your jargon, bro. It's just electric.
thank you. Carolina at Denver. Speaking of Rudolph and reindeer and Broncos, I think that the Broncos win this game very easily.
I think that the Broncos are going to carve up the Panthers like a jack-o'-lantern, bro.
Yeah,
I
yes.
mean, Bo Nix is going to shred their defense. The Panthers looked like dog water last week, even when Jaden Daniels had to come out. Very easy victory for the Commanders last week. So expect not as easy of a victory, but, because Denver's not as good as Washington, but still should be, a very winnable game for the Broncos this week.
Yeah, 100%. Won't be watching this one. Dallas at San Francisco. Yeah, this one is pretty watchable, I would assume. It could be a
Yeah.
bounce back game for either team here. Dallas coming off of
Hmm.
a bye. But we all know what happens. The Chiefs always beat the Niners. They're 5-0 against them over the last few years. And the San Francisco 49ers are like 4-0, 5-0 against the Cowboys over the last few years. So why, if the Chiefs are going to beat the Niners, who's to say the Niners will not beat
Hmm.
the Cowboys here? So I got to ride with them. Just think it's a good spot for them to bounce back. And unlike years past, where I feel like the Cowboys have been, a little bit on a level playing field with them, they just didn't show up that day, that week.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those where the Cowboys just aren't that good this year.
Hmm.
I mean, they have no run game. Defensively, they're worse. So I think the Niners take advantage of that. And I mean, they need this win here. I mean, either team, I guess, would fall to 3-5, I believe. Or maybe Cowboys would be 3-4. But either way, it would be a bad situation. I just think the Niners need it more.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Also going to be taking the 49ers here. However, Dallas is coming off a bye, so definitely something to consider there. Normally, I feel like you tend to pick teams when they're coming off their bye. They're fully
Yeah.
rested and recharged.
Should have
Maybe.
done that last week with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I know for sure, but yeah, I think that Dallas is going to keep this one actually like very close. Even though I think that San Fran has a pretty significant edge here, just with the way that Dallas has been playing. With the extra bye in there, I think helped them out. But yeah, still going to be rolling with the Niners this week.
Yeah, 100%. Giants at Steelers, kind of a gross Monday night game here. I almost wanted to take the Giants. Hey, there's another team that's coming off. Actually, no, they're coming off of a bad loss, but that's also, something you can bounce back from. But I have to continue the role with the Steelers here. Russell Wilson looked incredible when everyone thought it was the wrong move to bench Justin Fields for him, which it does feel like a weird move when Justin, he's been playing just fine
Hmm.
and they've been winning games. So it was a
Yeah,
very bold move by the coaching staff there, but it worked out well, even though, like I said, it was ugly in the beginning of that game against the Jets. And this, yeah, if the Giants pull this off, then we have some serious questions about the Steelers. So, just the Steelers, they got to take care of business here. Should be a win.
yeah, I'm with you. It seems to me like you kind of are against the Giants in terms of like you learned your lesson from last week picking them.
I did.
Uh, yeah, and so I mean the Giants have been looking terrible, bro. Daniel Jones didn't even throw for 100 yards last week.
I just don't
Um,
get it when they go out and beat the Seahawks handedly. And then the
yeah,
Seahawks come out, beat the Falcons handedly, who beat the Eagles. Like, it's just, there's no
yeah,
transitive property here. Like,
I
just
know, dude.
every team, I feel like you get a different Giants team. You get like a different Cardinals team every week. Like, some of these teams are just so bipolar.
Yeah, no, very, very inconsistent, hard to track and deal with. It's just hard to kind of consider all of those factors when making your picks throughout the season. It just leads to so many inconsistencies in logic and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to be taking the Steelers here as well. Regardless of Russ or Justin, I think that they would still beat the Giants either way. I'm not very high on the Giants right now.
So we only have two different this week. I see the Bucks and the Cardinals are my picks to your Dolphins and Falcons.
Yes, yeah, I guess that is it.
And we have
Wow,
every NFC North team winning again.
that is pretty wild. Yeah.
That is. All right, but let me launch on into my best bets here for week 8, starting with college football. Obviously, Navy plays Notre Dame. Now, I know this logic didn't work last week. Georgia Tech did not cover against Notre Dame, but Navy, They're undefeated. They're blowing every team out. They've covered pretty much every single game so far. You got to take them plus 12 and a half against Notre Dame and just wait for that to get back to maybe 13 and a half, 14, 14 and a half. That's when you really need to put the rent on it. I mean, Notre Dame, they should not be giving up that many points to an undefeated Navy team that, this is a rivalry game. We have to remember they play every year and they have not beaten Notre Dame in a long time. I mean, since we've been there, since 2019, since we've been a part of the Notre Dame community, Navy's not beaten Notre Dame. They've had some close games. They've also had some blowouts. And I think this could be one of those close games. All right. Ole Miss minus 20 against Oklahoma. They're coming off of a bye. Oklahoma was bad. Ohio State's coming off of a bye, but I like Nebraska to cover the 25.5 point spread. That's just a lot. BYU minus 2. This, I have to admit, is slight emotional hedging because I just, first of all, can't believe they're only 2-point favorites on the road against UCF. They did almost lose to Oklahoma State, and UCF almost beat Iowa State. Both of those teams, by the way, should be, relegated down to like Division II after what they did, giving up, huge leads to teams that were undefeated. Oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it. But anyways, BYU minus 2. If they lose, though, I'm totally happy about it because it helps Notre Dame. All right, Illinois plus 21.5 against Oregon on the road, though. Maybe it's not a good idea to continue fading Oregon, but we're going to try. I mean, this is a really good Illinois team getting 3 touchdowns and the hook. I have to take it. It's just too yummy not to. LSU plus 2.5. Again, I have to admit, this is slight emotional hedging because if LSU loses, I'm very, very pleased because we are rooting for Texas A&M as a Notre Dame fan. I definitely, though, think the game will go over 53.5, so let's roll with that. Nevada, Hawaii, also over 46.5. Nevada's another team on my hate list after they screwed over my Girth Lizzle a couple weeks ago when they beat Oregon State, but that's neither here nor there. Michigan State plus 5 in the rivalry game on the road at Michigan. Syracuse plus 6 against Pitt, who's undefeated, although it's on the road, and I think it's on Thursday. I like Syracuse. Getting into the NFL, like I said, Cleveland plus 9. Arizona plus 3. I think they win outright. I also think that game goes under 48. Cincinnati, if you're going to give it to me at less than a field goal, I'm going to take that minus 2.5. Same thing with the Bucs. I'm going to take them plus 2.5. I think 3.5 would be a better number as an underdog, but I think they win. Buffalo, Seattle, under 43.5. Early forecast shows some rain. I think it could be a little bit of an uglier game, so I like the under there. Although there really is no value in that 43.5 number. Like, that number is so low for, teams that have been scoring a lot of points. But hey, maybe that, just shows that you should take the under for sure if it just looks too low.
I'm showing a 47.5 for the Buffalo
40,
Seattle game.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Did I mistype it or did it go? I mean, sometimes CBS goes crazy though.
Because the Bears Washington game next to it is 43.5, and so is Carolina Denver also next to it. So
all right, yeah. Well, I'm gonna definitely take the 47. Like I was saying, it just felt too low. But then I love it even more. Jacksonville plus 4.5. Sure, why not? Green Bay, Jacksonville over 49.5. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have been scoring a lot of points. They've been hitting a lot of overs when the unders have been so low. I mean, I think I've hit a Pittsburgh Steeler over in the last 2 weeks straight. Let's see if they can continue that over 36.5. And then Vegas plus 10 at home against the Chiefs. Why not?
Fair enough. It's a lot of points for Vegas, but you still feel confident betting against the Chiefs again?
The Chiefs are bound to not cover in a game here, though. I mean, they've covered in almost every game this year. They covered against, obviously, the Niners. They covered against the Saints. They did not cover against the Chargers if you got that line early in the week. And they did cover against the Falcons. They did not cover against the Bengals. They did cover against the Ravens. So I just feel like they're due for a non-cover week.
That's fair. Very reasonable. Best bets for this week here. I've got 5 of them per your request to do more than the 4 I did last week.
Good.
Starting off here, we've got Minnesota minus 3 against the Rams. Just doesn't feel like enough points against a Rams offense that's kind of been struggling quite a bit this year, and a Vikings team that's really been doing well. Then we've got New England plus 7. Against the Jets. I do still think that the Jets are going to win this game, but knowing that New England is at home here and with as inconsistent and as, rocky as the Jets have been playing, I think this is a really good bet to take here. Then we've got Detroit minus 11 and a half
I
against
love this one.
incompetent Tennessee,
It's a
bro. I
big
mean,
number, but I like it.
this could be like the 73 to like 20 game that was what the Broncos and like the Chargers last year or something like that. Or who was that? No, Miami and Denver. Who was the game
Now
that
it
was like
was the Raiders and the Chargers. The Raiders put up like 63 points to the Chargers, like
okay.
20 points. But the Dolphins might have had a game like that where they scored. Oh, it was the Dolphins versus Broncos where they put up 70 some
Yeah, yeah,
points.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that happened.
Anyways, I was just exaggerating there. Detroit's not going to be putting up 70 here, but I mean, against the Titans, I definitely think they're going to be able to, win by more than 2 touchdowns. Then I've got Pittsburgh minus 6.5 here against the Giants. If, an Eagles team here is able to put up, is able to cover minus 24, when Jalen Hurts only throws for 100 yards, I feel pretty confident that Pittsburgh would be able to do, to cover 6.5 when their quarterbacks have actually been playing halfway decent. Finally, Chicago, Washington over 43.5. This feels like a pretty low number for, a Bears team that's been averaging quite a lot of points every week. And same with Washington. I know Washington is going to be, or Jaden Daniels will likely be out now. But even still, Marcus Mariota isn't half bad. And I think that these teams are gonna go over this total here. So that's what I've got.
Yeah, I like your picks. I definitely like the Detroit one. I was thinking about taking the Chicago over myself, but it
Mm-hmm.
does worry me a little bit if Marcus Mariota plays. The Bears defense
Yeah,
probably limits them, and I feel like Caleb and them could have a little bit of a regress back down to the median type of game after some high
that's
scoring
fair.
affairs against the Panthers and the Jaguars. But it's
Mm-hmm.
fan mail time.
It is
Although, do
indeed.
we not have any new picks from our
No new picks have
customers
been
here?
have been received from our
That should like invalidate their records.
no, no, come on now. Don't say that. They're still our most loyal fans, bro.
I mean, that's true. But I mean, wait, did Jimmy actually go 7-8 last week?
Yeah,
Oh
he
God.
actually regressed down to the average for
Wait,
last week.
I'm so
So the
confused how you do this
I'm
because you got
sorry.
the X
It
in
just
front of the
it's always
Bills.
after. It's always after the check
Okay,
mark or the
I
X is
gotcha.
always like directly after. But yeah, Jimbo had just a week that was not his usual
Wow.
self. This was his first losing record, I think, of the entire year. He went 7-8 this past week. His yearly record, year to date, is now 66 and
Still pretty
41.
good.
Yeah, it's still outperforming us by one game, which is, certainly solid since we are the Sorcerers. But yeah, I mean, when he was, the previous weeks, he was up on us like,
I mean,
what,
it's a
like
law of
6
averages, dude.
games?
It's a law
Yeah, I
of
mean, it
averages.
was bound to happen. However, my dad here still outperformed even us this week. So 2 weeks straight, he outperformed us here. He goes 12-3 this past week. Did not go perfect 15-0, unfortunately, but still pretty surgical with the bets here. 49ers, that one I think, we should have known better. Don't be betting against the Chiefs. So this could have been a 13-2 uh, slate here, but yeah, no new picks from them. So hopefully they'll send them in tomorrow or whatever. But we can't share them with you right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, they gotta work on that. They gotta get better. I mean, a
Well,
couple weeks there, they sent them in early,
yeah.
but yeah, this is no. I mean, I'm happy that yeah, your dad's been cooking, but we just need them picks, man. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that he will heed the message and they will send them in ASAP.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Just been a busy time for sure. But that's all we have for you guys this week. You have anything else? Any closing messages?
Um, No, just getting prepared for your autumnal comments for next week.
Oh
I'm sure
yeah,
the
get
audience is
ready.
anxiously awaiting them, and I'm certainly excited as well. Have you picked out a Halloween costume this year?
No, I have not yet. I really don't have any occasion to dress up, to be
Do
honest.
you
So
do you think we should like maybe sport the Sorcerer's hat
we
next
might
week
have to.
in
I think
honor
we
of
should.
Halloween
Yeah,
episode? That
I think
might
we
be a
should.
must. It might be a must for next week, just to really get in the spooky spirit.
I think yeah, we should. 100%.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
All right, man. Well, we will see you guys next week then for an extra spooky episode. All right, guys. We'll see ya. Bye.